Hello and welcome to What the Fo Travel Podcast with Nick and Amy. This is a mini episode about Carnival in Brazil.
Yes,
Carnival!
Carnival! Arriba! I think that's Mexican.
I mean, you speak in Spanish and it's a Portuguese country.
But this is definitely a topic which deserves its own episode, hence why we're doing it. Because I remember before we went to Carnival, we knew about it, we knew it was something we wanted to do, but actually we had no idea what to expect. There wasn't really much information about it. All we thought was just, it's one big party.
Absolutely. Now, this was a bucket list item of mine, so I always knew at some point in my life I'd be going to Rio Carnival, and that's why, so there's Carnival all over Brazil, but that's why we specifically went to Rio, because it's the most famous, and I feel like
big one.
For your first time doing Carnival, you want to see the Rio one, especially as a tourist. Okay, so this mini episode about Rio Carnival, we're not just going to be talking about Rio, we're going to be talking about Carnival all over Brazil. Well, the places that we really learnt about, which is Olinda, which is where Recife is. We're going to be talking about Rio, we're going to be talking about Sao Paulo and Salvador as well. We're going to give you some tips on how to stay safe, the best ways to get around there, the cheapest ways to do things, whether you should go to the Sambadrome or not, how to get your drinks out on the street, what you need to take out with you for the day, what you need to wear, and how you should dress. So, let's get started.
And we will start straight with an interview. So while we were in Rio ourselves, this was actually the day before Carnival. And we asked Clara from Free Walker Tours, what exactly is Carnival?
So in the beginning, Carnival was like Catholic holidays. I don't know exactly how it becomes some place that we just stay naked. But the idea is that in that time of the year, you can do whatever you want, all the bad things. And then you have to stay 40 days without doing nothing, and you're going to be forgiven in Easter or something like this, the idea.
That's where it started. Okay, so what would you say to someone like a tourist? They've come to Rio for Carnival. What's the best way to enjoy Carnival?
So we have two different carnivals. We have the Carnival of the Parades, that is schools of samba, they are fighting between there is a competition. And that's a really nice party, but it's like a little bit more expensive party, it's not for everybody. It's really nice to watch, I never did. I don't know if I want to go to the Sambadrome to watch. I really don't like it. Sometimes I watch just the best part of the TVs, but even the parades I don't watch in the TV. And then we have the Carnival of the Streets, that's the carnival that I love. We just have the blocos, that's like the music and the people just following the music. The block can be just in one place, sometimes the block is walking. And that's my favorite carnival, it's always for free, just follow the music, buy your drinks like caipirinhas in the streets, and it's like a really cheap carnival.
So if somebody wanted to go to the Sambadrome, we've asked some people and it's a little confusing. Some people say, oh, you don't need tickets. Some say you do
need a ticket.
You definitely need a ticket.
You need a ticket, and it's not really cheap. It's a little bit more expensive.
Where would someone buy them? Online, or do you have to go to the Sambadrome?
I don't know. I know that some travel agents, they sell it, but I don't know if you can buy online or if you can buy directly over there. I like that much of some other, but that I don't know anything how to buy the tickets.
Yeah, so your recommendation is to go in the street, follow the music. What parts of the city, like Lapa, where are the best parts?
Yeah. So we have a lot of blocos happening all over the city during all over Carnival. In my opinion, the best blocos are downtown. Copacabana and Ipanema doesn't exist for me during Carnival. I don't go over there. It's a different type of people that goes there.
Touristy.
Not tourists, but it's a type of people like those guys that doesn't respect women, that they have a lot of fights between the guys, and it's a place that I don't like very much. Usually the blocos in downtown is more like a political blocos, so people have a little bit more sense of human rights and those things. So it's usually you have less problems in the downtown blocos. It's more about the people that I don't like the other blocos. Downtown is better. Yeah.
And so while we're talking about safety, have you got some safety tips of how people should stay safe and keep their belongings? What should they do?
Just keep your a little purse with your cell phone and your money. It doesn't have a lot of money. All places they accept credit cards, so you don't need to walk with a lot of money. I don't know how we say that, but we have a pochette, the one that is just stay in the front.
Yeah, so it crosses over your body.
Yeah, that's what I use, what I have.
And is this true? I've heard that before Carnival, some couples, like a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, they split up
for Carnival.
And then after Carnival, they realise, oh, I love you, let's get back together.
Yeah, that's normal. It's like, hey, I have second thoughts. I don't know if I really like you, if I wanted to stay for you forever. Let's split out. And after Carnival, yeah, you are the one that I love. Yeah, it happened. That's true.
Thank you to Clara there from Free Walker Tours for your invaluable local advice there. Very good. So, always keep safe, which is a general rule when you're traveling anyway, but keeping one of those purses is great. We made the mistake the first day. We knew it was a mistake when we were making it. We took a bag out with us, like a backpack, but that was because we had like our camera equipment, because we wanted to get it for you guys. We wanted to make sure we had some content for you. But once we were out, we really didn't take the camera out, but not because we felt dangerous in any way. It was more about the volume of people there. And just a quick tip while I remember, apparently some people come from neighbouring towns into Rio Carnival dressed as tourists, so they're kind of safer. They seem safer, and they're actually pickpockets. So it doesn't matter who's around you, even if they look like a tourist, always make sure you're looking after your stuff.
For sure. And I think the best thing is, which we learnt eventually, was just go out with nothing really. Like, you might want your phone, but then don't bring cash with you. Like she said, you can use credit card. Even like street vendors, individual people with a little like cool
cart.
Yeah, with a cart, or even a little cool box full of beers, or they're making caipirinhas, the cocktails. You can pay them with card, which is brilliant. So just don't take much with you. But we took her advice, didn't we? We just stayed downtown in the areas of Lapa and Santa Teresa, and we just wandered the streets and followed the music. And while it was a very good experience, like, so glad we'd done it, got some great pictures, had some good times, some good drinks, met some people, it wasn't really what we thought Carnival was going to be. Maybe we ended up in the wrong areas, but we couldn't really find much music in the streets, could we?
No, you're right there. And I don't want this to sound like a downer, because we loved Carnival, and you'll know why by the end of this episode. But we're starting with safety and all of the kind of, I guess, boring bits. Yeah, the boring bits. But yeah, we were quite surprised with Rio that there wasn't much music. Rio Carnival's famous for samba, drinks and caipirinhas and all these people dancing in the street, but there actually wasn't much music. We thought there'd be like trucks which you follow, like she said, the blocos, the block parties. So everybody meets at one point and everybody kind of moves together down the street. And yeah, they are really cool, but the ones we went to in Rio really didn't have that much music. Maybe you'd find a little band playing on the street, kind of like four friends banging a drum and, making some good music, but there wasn't big sound speakers, which I expected there to be.
Yeah, there were just people in big groups, drinking, chatting, like having a laugh, but yeah, it wasn't really like a big party. But when it was a big party, and I think our best night of Carnival was actually the night before Carnival officially starts. The dates often change from year to year. I think at that point it was like the first day of March or maybe the last day of February. They changed a little bit, but it's always that time of year. But the night before Carnival in Rio was epic. We went to a couch surfing meetup, so that was good because we met up with a load of like sociable people up for a laugh. We was in this bar, drinks were flowing, and then one person just said, follow me. There's a group of people heading to, I guess, a blocko, like a block party or some sort of party. So we followed the crowd. 25 minutes walking in the rain as well. It was a bit of a trek, but it was worth it because we ended up at this massive party, which was like under a bridge of a motorway. But it wasn't just a party that happened. It was proper organised because there was a DJ there. There's like lights, sound system, and it was chucking it down with rain, but like no one cared. It was a really good party.
I would hazard a guess there was about 4,000 to 5,000 people there.
Yeah, there probably was. And loads of street vendors. Again, you can get whatever drink you want there. It was amazing, wasn't it? The atmosphere was incredible.
It was unbelievable. It was probably one of the best nights I've ever had out because I was really drunk, but like nice drunk, when you can remember what's going on. I guess you'd call that tipsy, wouldn't you? But it was so fun. And all these people were spread under this motorway, which was still active, by the way. There were still cars going over it. But people kind of climbing everywhere and the stairs. And it's right by the port where the water is. And it was just unbelievable. And yeah, like you said, the DJ was there and they were playing some really good like electronic music, which I guess isn't good because when you're in Rio Carnival you want to be hearing samba and things like that, but we knew we'd be hearing that all the time over this week of Carnival. So, and we love electronic music, so we were really enjoying it, but it was so good. It was one of the best parties we've ever been to.
Really good. But you said we were by the river. We asked someone, where's the toilets? And they kind of laughed and they're like, there are no toilets, but there's a river over there. And honestly, like everyone was going in this river.
It was not classy at all. To be honest, there's portaloos all over the cities where there's Carnival. They're really good with that. But this particular place, for some reason, I think it was the only place there wasn't portaloos. I mean, I think I'd rather go in the river than the portaloo because I hate those. Germ freak, I can't touch the doors and they stink. It's just gross. But yeah, so that happened and I'm not going to go into that story because it's a bit shameful, isn't it?
You've obviously, you guys have probably got a picture in your head right now. So just go with that. But that was the day before Carnival. The second day, we took Clara's advice and we were hitting the streets of Lapa and Santa Teresa. Like I said, they're good nightlife areas anyway, so we knew stuff would be going on. We were actually able to meet up with some friends we met earlier in Brazil, which was nice. And yeah, like we said before, not much music, but a good atmosphere. You know, we're at Rio Carnival. This is amazing. You can buy cheap drinks on the vendors. You can get a beer for £1. Caipirinhas, which are big and strong, you could easily get for £2, maybe less. One thing to really point out about Rio Carnival is that, of course, there's many, many locals, thousands, maybe millions, but that is where all the tourists go, including us. I don't think I've ever seen so many English people.
In Brazil?
Yeah.
Because we were travelling Brazil for about 3 months and we met one English guy in a national park, but then we found them all in Rio for Carnival. I think we must have met, I don't know how many. It was just so many.
But like we were saying, it's a bucket list thing. Go to Rio for Carnival. So that's something you might think is a good thing. You might think it's a bad thing. But we met up with lots of tourists, people from all over the world. But everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's up for a party. We also ended up at a petrol station party the first night. I've never been to a petrol station party before. Have you, Amy?
No, it was so bizarre because, again, it was raining. We were really unlucky with the weather that week because the rest of Brazil was incredible weather. But yeah, it just hit rainy season. So it was a lot of rain and we were trying to find a party or a club or something to go into. And this is once we'd spent the day in Lapa and Santa Teresa for the blocos. And then, we were walking around and we stumbled upon this petrol station party. It was so weird. And you would think with people on their phones and smoking, doing things that you do at a party, they would turn the pumps off. Oh no, not in Brazil. It was just so strange. People smoking when, I guess they didn't. Well, did they turn them off?
I think it was still a fully functional petrol station. There were cars there, like filling up.
That was so bizarre.
But yeah, people were smoking. You're right, they're on their phones. All the things you're told you're not supposed to do in a petrol station. But we're all just going with it. We're having a good time. And yeah, it was a unique experience. I've never done a petrol station party before, and I probably never will again.
But again, you have the vendors there that you can pay on your card, and caipirinhas are super cheap. I think I found a few for like R$5, which is about £1. And yeah, they're not as good as like a caipirinha you'll get in a bar or one that you can make yourself. They're obviously a bit weaker, but for £1, I mean, can you really argue that? And the beers, how much were the beers?
Yeah, again, it's like R$5, sometimes less actually, maybe R$4, which can be less than £1. But they sell like either little cans or big cans, so it varies. But compared to prices back home in England, it's cheap. Like, don't worry about it. Just buy beers and have a good time.
So the day after that, we went to another bloco, and that was in Ipanema Beach. So really famous from the song, The Girl from Ipanema Goes Walking In.
And more impressively, Amy can sing the Portuguese version of that song.
Olha, que coisa mais linda, mais cheia de graça. I'm not going to carry on because I'm
really
tone
good.
deaf.
I was enjoying that.
I know the words, but I'm tone deaf.
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes each one, she passes ghosts. Oh, when she walks, she's like a samba that swings so cool and sways so gentle that when she passes each one, she passes ghosts.
But yes, so we met at Ipanema because we'd heard, like, again, the best way is just to speak to people. And actually online, I think it said that, there's an official party going on at Ipanema. The rest of Rio seemed to join us because there was loads of people there. Honestly, this one was too crowded. There was too many people. Again, there wasn't music and the weather wasn't good. So honestly, it was a bit of a disappointment. But still, being on Ipanema Beach, it's a great place to be, drinking drinks on the beach at Carnival, but it didn't really deliver what we wanted, did it?
No, and it was actually so busy. We were meant to meet friends there, and obviously not having internet, that's quite difficult. But we had a meeting point and a time, and it took about 3 hours to find them. It was really hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very tough. So
and I lost my grey t-shirt, and I was still really upset about that because, you don't wear much at Carnival. So I think I had like some sort of crop top bikini on and, well, just the top. I mean, I had shorts on. I didn't go out in my bikini bottoms, but I had this top for later. And I love this top. It's like my yoga top, and I lost it, and I have no idea where it went.
I'm sorry.
I think it's Nick's fault because I gave it to him when I was going to the toilet, and then hours later I couldn't remember where it was. Anyway,
I don't know.
I'm not
going
to dwell on it. I'm not going to dwell on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. This party didn't really live up to expectations, but it was still cool. Like standing around, watching everyone. It was a real good experience. I don't want to like really play it down. It really was good. And like you said, standing on Ipanema Beach at Rio Carnival, drinking a caipirinha, like, can you get any more Brazilian than that?
Be any more Brazilian? Yeah, it was good. And people watching was funny because there's links to what Clara was saying earlier, which I thought was hilarious. How she's like, yeah, people break up before Carnival, and then afterwards they're like, oh, I forgot, I love you really. You're the one for me. And watching people, like strangers, I thought they knew each other at first. Strangers, like a guy and a girl. Let's say the guy, he walks up to a girl, they just start getting with each other, like 15 seconds. You know what it's like when you're like 15 or something and you're at a school disco and it's like your first snog with tongues and like it looks ridiculous, but they're going for it for like 15 seconds and then they finish and walk off and they don't say a word to each other. These people are strangers, like they don't know each other, and that's what people do, don't they, at Carnival?
It's so bizarre, but like this would never happen in normal Brazilian culture. I know they have this stereotype of being party people and always up for it kind of people, which they are. They're always so happy and ready for a party, but it was so bizarre. And like sometimes you'd see two people clock each other and they just kind of like look at each other and nod like, yeah, let's go for it.
Yep.
At one point, I remember we were sitting eating some food and a guy walked past, saw a group of girls, just went straight up to them, snogged her face off. I hate the word snogged, but that's what it was.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
the best
snogging.
description.
Yeah, it was snogging. And then went, okay, ciao, and then just walked off.
I'm surprised they even said goodbye. Some of the people we saw didn't even say anything.
Oh, it was amazing. I just don't think you would see that in any other culture.
For sure. But you're right. It's only this week. The rules do not apply when it comes to Carnival. Similar with like costumes and what people are wearing, like guys and girls are wearing the most like crazy costumes, or some people like nothing at all. Lots of glitter, flashing, big flashing lights on their costume. People really put the effort in, and it was difficult because we're traveling and we're on a budget. It's difficult to really put the effort into your costume, but if you can, try and go all out.
If you know you're going to Rio Carnival, then bring glitter for sure. Glitter's kind of base level. I mean, some people look like Christmas trees. They had so many like LED lights on them, and glitter, amazing hairstyles. They just look so good, and you just feel completely in the mood to party. It's just it's such an amazing vibe in the city.
Yeah, it really is. It's unique. It is amazing. Something I want to mention before we leave Rio is the Sambadrome. So this is like the big famous venue that you've probably seen on TV, where samba schools parade down the aisle doing their dancing, and this is a big competition, so they're being judged, and eventually a samba school wins, and they probably win a lot of money. Do you know what they win? I don't know what the prize is. But
I don't know. It's just kind of like the crown for being the best.
Yeah, but it's a big deal. People take it seriously. And this is what Clara's talking about. The richer people or the tourists go here, and the more average local person parties on the street. Now, we didn't do that. But
it is mainly tourists. All the locals we spoke to, they were like, nah, I wouldn't go there.
So we weren't bothered about it. But then we're thinking, while we're in Rio, we probably should. But because they left it so late, the only tickets left were really expensive. So that made the decision for us. So what I'd say is, I think you should do it. It's part of the Rio experience. You can get tickets online because just Google Sambadrome, Rio Carnival tickets, but get them early. But I would recommend doing it. Do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely. I was actually a little bit gutted when we first looked at it because there wasn't just really expensive tickets. I think we saw some for 35 and it was kind of like a last minute deal. Yep. And it was on the official Rio Carnival website. I don't know about how the other websites work, so I'd always recommend go through the official one because they do offer deals sometimes. And we were kind of debating it for about 20 minutes whether it was worth over £60 for us both to go because, like we said plenty of times, we're long-term travelling now and £60 is like 2-3 days worth of travel for us. So we can't really just splash out cash like that without having a proper conversation about it. But then we finally decided to do it, went to buy it, and they'd gone. The tickets had gone. They sold out so fast. So that was really upsetting. But yeah, I think it's something I would want to do. But if you want to be really local, then listen to the locals, go to the Blocko parties, because they are so much fun. Like, you're going to do that anyway. If you're going to Rio Carnival, you won't be able to walk down the street and not get infused in a Blocko party. But yeah, if you want to do that, it's one of those things that's really touristy and probably a bit tacky, but you love it anyway.
Yeah, and you'll look back on your pictures and videos and think, oh, I'm glad I did that. So I'd recommend checking out the Sambadrome. Final thing I'm going to say about Rio is just like a bit of advice of accommodation. We tried and failed to couch surf. I think it's pretty impossible that time of year because everyone that lives in Rio, they've got friends and family coming from around the country to stay with them. So we couldn't couch surf. We managed to find a good deal on a hotel. We booked it a bit in advance, for us anyway, because we're living day to day at the moment.
I thought it was late notice.
It was really. We booked it, I think, like a few weeks or a month in advance.
Which was early for our travelling, but late to book Rio Carnival.
Exactly. But we found a place downtown near Lapa, near that part of town. It was around like £20 a night. It included breakfast for two of us during Carnival. I thought that was a really good deal.
And in our room, we had a jacuzzi and a sauna.
We did, but unfortunately, you have to pay £10 a day to use them.
Yeah, so we didn't. It was just so weird, like walking into our bathroom and there's a sauna and a jacuzzi in the bathroom. It was very strange, but yeah, it was decent enough. It was actually a lot better than I thought. You know, leaving it late notice to book for Carnival, you don't think you're going to get good accommodation, but it was clean and it was actually more upper class than I thought it would be.
Yeah, we done well. It was decent.
Okay, so like we said, we didn't just spend our carnival time in Rio. We also went to Sao Paulo, which I think is probably our favourite place in Brazil. We love it, but mainly because of the people that we know there. We have some really good friends, which makes any travel experience a million times better.
That is very true. So, you know, we wanted the Rio experience, but we also had friends in Sao Paulo, so we thought, let's split it.
So I think we did 3 days in each place. So we got the tourist side of it in Rio and then the local side of it in Sao Paulo. And they're actually surprisingly different. So I would say Rio is, even though it's touristy, I think the whole city has a buzz about it. And you walk out of your door and you instantly know it's Carnival.
True.
Sao Paulo, I'd say, is different, that it seems like life is normal. So when you're travelling to a Blocko party, you feel a bit stupid because you're on the tube, or you're on the train, the metro, whatever you want to call it, and you're all dressed up. And then there's also someone sitting next to you in a suit going to work. It's a bit weird. But once you get to the party, I prefer the parties in Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo people, I mean, they work hard, but they play hard. They can party. We had 2 good nights in Sao Paulo for Carnival. The first one, we were on the streets, but we ended up in a club. And there was good music in there. You know, we're friends. It's great being with local people. We had a really good night. But it's a club that you have to pay to get out of. So bear that in mind. We're in Europe or England. You know, we're used to paying to get into clubs, but here you have to pay to get out.
But I think we were given some sort of card, so you don't pay for your drinks with cash. You put it all on the card and then you pay your entrance fee and drinks when you leave. So there's lots of bouncers on the outside, but I think that's quite common for Brazil, that you can pay to get out. So just make sure once you're going into a club that you know for sure if you're going to be able to get out as well. You know, it was a really nice club. It was the same as any other. I felt totally safe. But yeah, just make sure you know that you're going to have to pay when you get out.
And that was in a part of town called Vila Madalena, which is famous for like nightlife in Sao Paulo. Lots of nice bars and stuff there. Not the cheapest, but it's a nice area.
The second bloco that we went to in Sao Paulo was where we saw Baiana System.
That is the sound of us mosh pitting hard.
Yeah, so Baiana System, they come from the state of Bahia, which is where Salvador is the capital. So they've come quite a way to perform in Sao Paulo, and they're a really big band. Like, the whole country know them. It's almost like, I don't know, us having the 1975 do a free gig somewhere for Carnival. It's a bit like that, really. They're not the same type of music, but I mean, someone that famous to come and do a free gig, it's amazing. So completely free in the middle of the street. And this is exactly what I imagined a bloco would be. So we got there really early, actually, because we're meeting up with some friends and they're local, and they were like, we will never see each other if we arrive late. Like, we need to meet before. So we met them, went to where the truck started. And so all the band are on this truck. It's a bit of like a tour bus, but they're performing at the top. It's a double decker and they've got this massive sound system. It sounded incredible. And you just walk along the street with them. And we probably walked maybe like 600 to 700 meters in the whole thing.
It's slow going, so you don't walk far, but the whole time you're kind of dancing and kind of walking, keeping up with them. It's like a festival on wheels, isn't it?
Yeah, so you are surrounded by people. It's so hard to move. You're shoulder to shoulder. And like we said there, we were mosh pitting. Now, I'd never been in a mosh pit before. I weren't sure if it was something I wanted to do.
It.
I freaking loved it. It was so much fun. And I wasn't really drinking that time as well, because we'd drunk the other times and I had enough of it. So I was like, no, I'm all good today. I'm going to stick with water. And yeah, I mean, I got in the middle of it. They had different ones for just girls as well. They had mixed ones. They had ones for guys. It was so fun.
I saw you throwing some elbows.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, if you don't know what a mosh pit is, by the way, just in case, it might be your second language. A mosh pit is at a party where everybody makes a circle of space and then everybody kind of jumps in and really aggressively jumps around. And yeah, you normally get hit in the face or a broken ankle.
It's aggressive, but it was good fun. So for us, you know, we're obviously glad we went to Rio. It's iconic. But we did have a better time in Sao Paulo, but it's all down to the locals. So we said this before, really. Sao Paulo is one of them cities where you need that local advice. Even if you don't have friends there, you know, we're fortunate. But through couchsurfing, either stay with someone, or you don't even have to stay with someone. You can ask people questions through couchsurfing. You can put up questions, you know, and then people get back to you. Where's a good party tomorrow? And someone will get back to you. So it's always good to ask for the local advice.
Yeah, not only ask questions, ask to meet up with them as well, you know. We had a much better time because we were with the local people. Once the bloco was finished, they knew what bars to go to or if we wanted food. And it was just, yeah, really, really good. But before we finish, we want to talk about pre-Carnival as well, because Carnival's mad. So it actually happens like 6 months of the year. It's actually Carnival, because you have your pre-Carnival parties, then you have Carnival, then you have your post-Carnival parties, then you have a bit of a break, and then it's time for pre-Carnival again.
It's true. Brazil's just a year-long party.
Yeah, and we've actually been told not only is there Carnival, there's other festivals which aren't as famous but apparently are better, so they pretty much party all year long.
Yeah, you're right, because once Carnival's done, people say, oh, it's okay, it's only 2 more months until something. It's like, it's named after a religious saint, I think, but it's just a massive party where people go mental. So because Rio and Sao Paulo, really, they were our final destinations through Brazil, so we were traveling a lot of Brazil in all the build-up to Carnival. So we experienced pre-Carnival parties in Salvador, which is kind of like towards the northeast, and we also went to a good pre-Carnival party in Belo Horizonte. Belo Horizonte?
Yeah, let's go with that.
We actually stayed in an Airbnb in Belo Horizonte with Edgy and Iara. And this was the first time we spent time with Airbnb host. It was a bit like a couchsurfing experience. They took us to a pre-Carnival party. It's the same as Carnival, really. Everyone's dressed up in crazy costumes.
I was dressed as Minnie Mouse.
You were? Yeah, they had costumes for us, bless them. We were dressed up. We were going for it.
What were you dressed as, Nick?
What was I dressed up as?
I think he was a police officer, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Sexy police officer, obviously.
There you go.
And I actually think there's something about these pre-Carnival parties where there's a bit more excitement in the air because it's like the anticipation of Carnival coming. I had a feeling that people were kind of more excited at the pre-parties.
Yeah, I think I preferred the pre-parties because the one under the motorway was technically a pre-party.
Yeah.
And the one in Belo Horizonte, we don't know how to...
Belo Horizonte.
Whatever. And this one was kind of what you would imagine Brazil was like. There's naked men walking down the road. I had a picture with 2 guys and they just had feathers covering their bits. It was... a sight to see. And everybody was dressed up. People were more dressed up there than Rio, I think. But people get really imaginative with their costumes. It's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So a few weeks previous to that, we were in Salvador, and while we were there, we spoke to Lorena, who was another Airbnb host of ours. We asked her, what's Carnival like here? Is it different to Rio?
I think the main symbol of Carnival here is the trio elétrico. I don't know if you heard about it. No. It's like a walking stage on the top of a truck.
Okay.
Yeah, so because of the trio elétrico, which was invented, 30 or 40 years ago, Carnival in Bahia started to get really big because the famous bands go to this trio elétrico and play, and everybody stays around this and go walking. So we have like circuits of Carnival in 3 different spots, main spots, but you can find it in other places, but mainly Campo Grande, Barra Ondina, and Pelourinho, the 3 circuits, and you go from one point to another with the trio elétrico. And that's how it happens. So, for example, the circuit is 8 kilometers. So you can go from Barra, starting with a trio elétrico, one band, and you go and you walk with them. So, I don't want anymore. So you can go all the way back and see another band. And this is what happens.
So just to finish, it's a good party here in Salvador, yeah?
Yeah, it's a good party.
But I think you told me actually your favourite place for Carnival is in Olinda. So why is that?
Because I think the first answer is because I am from here, so I'm already used to it. But Olinda is like more down to the ground, I think. Because they don't have these trios elétricos, it's not so big, so you feel more like with the people. And the streets are smaller and the music is also different, so it's a different experience. I think Olinda is better for me because I don't like a crowd, like big crowd. There is crowded too, but not as here.
So that's 1 point to Pernambuco over Bahia, but everything else in Bahia is better, yeah?
You put me in a really difficult situation. But we have a rival. We are rivals with Pernambuco. It's a joke because we are really bairristas. I don't know if you have heard this name. We really are attached to our states. And Pernambuco and Bahia, both people from both places, really like their own places, but like the other. And start like to fight about what is better. So Bahia is better.
So thanks to Lorena there telling us about Carnival in her hometown Salvador in Bahia. But she also mentioned her favourite, which is Olinda, which is in the state of Pernambuco.
This is such a famous carnival. Like, whenever we were with local people, they always said, are you going to Olinda for Carnival? But we love Brazil. We're not shy about that fact at all. We're always raving about how it's our favourite country. So we'll definitely be going back. One of our really good friends lives in Recife, which is basically where Olinda is. They're kind of neighbouring towns. So he has said that we have to, it's not even our choice, we have to go there so we can go to Olinda Carnival. And I think it's just because it's more traditional, isn't it? There's less tourists, but it's more traditional where they have the big floats. I think where they have the big dolls that are kind of made out of paper mache.
Yeah, it's a far more authentic experience. Yeah, Rio is one for the tourists. It's big, it's iconic, like we said earlier. But a bit smaller, more authentic. That's where the locals go. But I do just want to say, Salvador, just in general, great city. There's parties all the time in Salvador. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, Olinda, it's like a pretty colonial Portuguese town. That's the one, if anywhere in Brazil, that's the one I want to go back to for Carnival.
We've been told so many times we have to go back.
So that is it for our Carnival special. We've spoke about Carnival in a few different locations all around Brazil. We now know what Carnival is. It's not just a massive party. And yeah, I really would say anyone that's kind of thinking about it, should I go, should I not? It's something you have to experience. It's very, very unique.
I would say it's one of my favourite items I've ticked off my bucket list, and I really mean that, even though it wasn't what I expected, and especially with Rio not being much music and not much of a party vibe that I imagined, but I love Brazilian people, I love Brazilian culture, and it just going to that carnival just really meant a lot to me, and I really would love to go back to Olinda. And the thing that surprised me was it wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be. If you're just going to Brazil for carnival, then obviously it's going to be expensive, you're paying for flights and everything on top. But with these sorts of things, with Brazil, they're really good at just making a party and making it free, and so that it's accessible to everyone. And the culture and the vibe there is just amazing, and I think if you're a traveller, this is definitely something you need to see.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you. So that's the end of this mini episode, but we will see you next time for the next one.
Muito obrigado!
Don't forget, you can get in touch with the show. You can email us at whatthefopodcast@gmail.com. We are also on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and we are also on Patreon. For more information on all those things, you can go to our website at www.whatthefopodcast.com.